Hi there, welcome to another episode of UnHamsterwheeled. I'm Sylvia Prindet-Püls, and today I have Pablo Fernandez here. He is someone I've met in person. I was lucky to meet him and his family, his lovely wife Marina and Alana, his daughter. And he's a coder, a world schooler, a family father. And what else would you call yourself, Pablo?
I think that about covers it. That's a good that's a good list of things. Excited to be here. It's super nice to be talking to you again, Sylvia. I'm looking forward to it. Very excited.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind when I think about you is the beginner's mind, because I've heard you speak a lot about it a lot, and we talked a bit about education, how to learn best, how you raise your child's world schooling, you're traveling, learning on the go from live experience. And can you say a few words, a few sentences about the beginner's mind? What's your concept about it?
Yeah, to me, the best way to learn about pretty much about anything is just to experience your curiosity and just let it guide you wherever it might take you. I'm always of the mind of try to do something with the question of why you wouldn't be able to do it, and then if you're not able to do it for whatever reason, at least you learn why you weren't able to do it. But I think intrinsic motivation is the only kind of valid motivation, whereas extrinsic motivation will never take you to have a good life or to be a well-rounded person. So to me, everything is better when it's organic, when it's bottoms up. And I have a huge problem. My whole life, I had a huge problem with this kind of top-down education models where you are forced to learn something just because it's something that you must learn. It's that time to learn that thing that you are forced to learn. So if you're going through school and they tell you, okay, now because it's Monday 9 a.m., you should be interested in how the mitochondria works. And maybe I couldn't care less about how the mitochondria works, and I'm not connecting it to anything I care about. And it feels like such a forced, violent model of education, but it's the norm. Whereas I'm also a rock climber. So I ended up learning how the mitochondria works because I want to improve my rock climbing. So I can immediately connect it with something that I'm passionate about. And I am willing to go through a bunch of quote unquote boring material because I'm connecting it to something that does interest me. It's not that I'm connecting it just with, oh, I need to know how this works because I need to pass a test next week or in 1 hour. So that's the way I try to approach absolutely everything in life, and in the same way I try to raise my family.
That is amazing. I love it. Thanks for the explanation. And when you say you love climbing, how did you learn to climb? Was it just like learning by doing, or did you take some classes?
So I went through like a safety course on rope management. I learned the first thing I learned for climbing was what's called alpine climbing, which is quite dangerous. Very easily you can very easily you can die because it's in remote places. You don't have, especially in Argentina, you don't have access to like rescue teams or anything like that like what happens in Europe. So you need to be super self-reliant, and you need to be able to get yourself out of a messy situation. So for example, if there is rockfall and the partner that you're climbing with is unconscious, what do you do? Like, how can you get out of that situation? So the first thing I learned when I started climbing is all these things on, okay, if there is some problem with the rope, if you lost some kind of necessary material, how can you improvise yourself to get out of that situation? So that's the first thing. And then show climbing, like the movement of climbing, I just learned by doing through many years. And it's a very fascinating sport, if you can call it a sport. It's very fascinating because there are pretty much, I mean, probably all sports to a certain degree, it's you cannot be taught how to
Yeah.
improve the skill. You need to sense what feels right. So there is a lot of repetition of what's the right angle of aperture of your hips and how does that connect with the power of your fingers and stuff like that. But yeah, very much just learn by doing.
Amazing. I can relate to that when I think about jiu-jitsu. I did jiu-jitsu and I had a class this morning, and I can really see that it's all about getting the experience, like feeling it. Somebody can tell you, after this you do that, and here you have the possibility to do that choke or that armbar, but it's in the movement where you learn. It's in this really difficult situation where you're being strangled and you need to find a solution. It's like finding it's problem solving.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the real life situation, but in this situation where you're under a lot of pressure. And
yeah, and I think I've never done BJJ, but it sounds fascinating. In some way, it sounds kind of like climbing, where you have this feeling of danger, right? If you're being strangled, I'm guessing it's very similar to the sensation of if I fall, I will die, that you get with climbing many times, and which might be correct sometimes, not often. Might be correct that if you fall, you'll die, but you do feel it very often, even if consciously okay, if I fall, I will be okay. You do get like this feeling of uncomfort and danger, mortal, fatal danger, and being able to focus your mind regardless of that feeling, like acknowledging that it's true, but being able to stay present and not lose the problem solving skills while doing something deeply physical, exerting a lot of force, exerting a lot of power. I find that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. And also what you said, like there are certain things that are pretty good to know if somebody tells you beforehand, like the safety and like the dangers and how to react, because from some mistakes you cannot learn when you're dead, it's over. But other than that, I think it's really this beginner's mind, be open, don't get too many instructions and rules, just, play. I suppose it's climbing is like play for you.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because for me as well, BJJ is like play. And I've noticed today, first we do some drills where we learn a new whatever, how to get into this choke and armbar, and then we roll, we fight 5 minutes against each other. And I've noticed that, of course, I do learn when I drill, but the moment when we roll, it's also play. Like there are different types of plays. It can be very playful, like the obvious, and then they can be very serious. And I mean, you're not laughing your head off when you climb, and you're very concentrated and focused, but it's still play. And with BJJ today, my trainer was interrupting me a lot today, and he was saying, no, Sylvia, you have to do it like this. No, it's wrong. You gotta go sideways and take his arm. And I was about to say, just shut up. Just this is how I learn. I need to roll. I need to find a solution for this, and I need to feel. And he needs to sweep me or choke me so I can learn that I've made a mistake and I'm not going to do it again. So because with our project, A Place to Be, we want this beginner's mind, this freedom for the kids 100% of the time, unless of course there are safety, but like life and death matters, not if they're going to fall and get a bruised knee or something. That's not danger for me. It's but other than that, it's complete freedom, so that the kids can be free, and we're not going to interfere, because the moment you stop play, you stop the learning process, because play means learning.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a really good book. It's quite famous now. Timothy Geithner, I think it's called, the Inner Game of Tennis, which is great. And one of the kind of the point of the book is that a coach or a teacher should not teach by saying, but just asking the right kind of question and allow the person to explore that question. So try to direct the curiosity or point to something that might spark curiosity on the student. I think, yeah, like you said, when I was a kid, I used to play a lot of tennis, and my coach would always be the same way, like, no, you need to grab the racket in this precise way, you need to swing in this exact way. It was very forceful, and not very curiosity inducing.
Yeah. That's a big problem. I mean, I'm in many Facebook groups of unschoolers, homeschoolers, world schoolers, wild schoolers, all the types of alternative education, if you want to call it that way. And it seems such a big audience, but there's still the minority. Is there any thought of yours how this could be, increase? I know it's probably also an organic process of people just realizing, oh shit, what my kid's going through at school is just not right. But is there any thought you have how to get the...
Personally, I mean, yeah, my answer would be just let it happen organically, and teach by doing. There is a very cool quote from who was it? I think it was Seneca, who said something like, along the lines of that a philosopher doesn't teach philosophy, he just acts, and the people that are paying attention, they will be curious as to your action, and you just teach by acting according to your values and according to whatever philosophy of life you live. Personally, I would love to see more world schooling and more unschooling and more, yeah, like you said, alternative. I'm doing air quotes, bunny ears. I would love to see more of that, but all I care about is my family and the families that I surround myself with. It's a little bit like hyper Bitcoinization and these freedom movements. You can experience the freedom without requiring the rest of the world to experience the freedom. Yeah. You don't have to wait for the rest of the world to catch up. You can just do your thing. And that's the whole point, really. You just experience your thing. And yeah, the more people that experience freedom in their life, I think the better we would all be. But that's a place for politics, which is something I'm utterly uninterested in. It's top down, and it's really not something that as a person you would be able to control, because it's controlling someone. That's why it's politics. It's controlling someone else's actions. Yeah. So yeah, I just focus on my family and align my values and my life with families like your beautiful family, who share these values, and we can connect in these ways. So it's just about finding the right people to connect with, instead of just trying to change the world.
True, it's very true. That I saw one of your presentations here in Madeira at the Free Madeira Bitcoin meetup, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of the few presentations I've enjoyed, because normally it's a bit boring listening to someone talk, but it was just very natural. And from Rob, my husband, I heard that you just prepared it like just before you.
Oh, I prepared it. I improvised what I said, but I just prepared slides, and I literally finished the slides while there was already people sitting down to see the presentation.
Amazing.
But yeah, I'm really not good at. I used to many years ago, probably like 15 years ago or so. I used to do some talks, and I would be like super nervous, and so I would not script them, but have like very copious notes of what I would want to say. But then it feels so forced, and maybe, yeah, to me that mode doesn't work. To me, it just works just talking about whatever is in your mind at the moment.
Yeah, that's very good. And I actually learned from you. When Rob told me that, I was more into this, let's just see what happens, get into, like today, I haven't prepared any questions. I just want to have a nice chat with you. I know we're aligned with the values. Absolutely. And we're going to have a great chat in time. But from your talk, I remember that you said, with all the restrictions and the rules and the pressure that's coming from the top, there are these Bitcoin is like water. There are these little holes. The water finds a way. There are little holes, and it comes through. And maybe it's the same with the education, that everywhere, especially in the United States, it's going crazy with what the kids are being taught and need to do, and how they're turning out, so that more people are taking them out of school and doing more like homeschooling.
I think so. It's interesting because while you are in the formal education system, you always see that system, and it's exactly the same way with Bitcoin, right? When you are in the fiat system, you only see the fiat system. You don't see that there are alternatives, and I think that's why I think it's just a matter of freedom. It's not whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's unschooling. It's just different shapes of the same concept, the concept of freedom and voluntarism. But once you peek out of the traditional schooling system, you notice that there is a lot of people living these kind of lives, and to people that are within that system, it sounds shocking. Whenever I talk about war schooling with someone that has no connection with alternative schooling, they always are like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. Like, what are you speaking in Russian? What is this? But then there's a lot of people that are doing these things. So it's just a matter of finding them, right?
Yeah.
And connecting with them.
Yeah, yesterday we went to the beach, and there was this German family. And in Germany, it's just not allowed to homeschool. You have to send your kids to school no matter what. If you don't, they take them away from you. And
same thing in Spain, same thing in France.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's not as radical here, but we were playing volleyball, and then they asked, and does she go to school? Lima, who's 6, and she said, no, she doesn't. And I said, no. I said, no. Have you heard of unschooling? I said, no, I haven't. And then I explained homeschooling and then unschooling, and she said, oh, well, she's 6, it's just starting. I said, well, it's not like, she was learning from 0 to now, whatever she wanted, the way she wanted.
But Sylvia, how is she going to learn how to read?
Exactly, and to write.
And to write.
My mom thinks she'll never read or write until the day she'll die. She's worried. Yeah, and but I'm feeling now like it's been 7 years that I've been reading and really studying and practicing this lifestyle with all this freedom for us, for kids. And just recently, a few months ago, I started feeling proud about saying we unschool. Until then, it was like, okay, I say homeschool, they understand it, and they think we're teaching at home. And before that, it was really like cringy. No, she doesn't go to school. And now I'm proud, and I kind of know one day I'm just not even going to mention it. It's just our business, and whatever they do. And
yeah, to me, whenever I'm asked about like the alternative things that I do with life, I always try to phrase it in the most triggering way, not like in the subtle way.
Yes.
So I never talked about homeschooling. I either say unschooling or no, she will never go to school, or stuff like that. Because I don't know, I think people that might be sort of receptive are more triggered by, because I think when you say homeschooling, people just, I mean, it's kind of what homeschooling is, right? But they connect with, I'm just moving the classroom to my home.
Yeah.
And then they immediately say, oh my God, that sounds miserable. I wouldn't want to have that life. As a parent, I wouldn't want to have that life. And that's not what it is at all, right? Because also I think that's I think why the homeschooling concept triggers people immediately to the, how are your kids going to socialize, right? Yeah. Because for most people, the school is where their kids make friends, right? And when you say homeschooling, is the same concept of school, but without any friends, right? Yeah. So I think that's why that's the first thing I always hear is, does the government allow that? Which is such a sad response. It's like, you are such a subject of the state that your first question is, does the
May
authority
I?
allow me to
Yes,
do it? Yes, please, please,
please.
dictator, allow me to educate my kid in the way I see fit. So that's the first one, and the obvious second one is the how are your kids going to socialize? But yeah, I never use. Yeah, like I said, I try to trigger people with unschooling and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
I did this for a while, but this it almost sounds like, I mean, most of the time the people haven't even done the research. They haven't even looked into, not read one book, not met one family or spent time with a family who does unschooling or something similar.
But they
It's
do have an
almost,
opinion.
yes, they just go, it's like a script. They just
Yeah,
hear other
100%.
people say, okay, homeschoolers, they don't socialize, this word socializing, and is it allowed? And it's, I mean, I must admit, I haven't done a big research into Bitcoin. It's Rob who's the Bitcoiner, and he's got my back, and I'm the unschooler and he's got my
Yeah.
back with that. But it's kind of when people say, we ask like, have you heard of Bitcoin, or do you accept Bitcoin or something with Bitcoin? And then they say, oh, Bitcoin is too volatile. This is this word that they just read somewhere or heard somewhere, and it's the same with the unschooling or homeschooling. But how do they get to socialize? It's just this blah that comes out of their brain like a robot, without even thinking or having thought about it. That's, I don't know how I see it. But how, I mean, you seem very cool and just 100% aligned with how you live your life. And has it ever been different? Like, how have you been raised? Have you ever been in the fiat life? How was your upbringing?
No, since I was a kid, I was very non-conformist, I'll say, maybe. I had really bad grades at school. Yeah, I pretty much always have done whatever the hell I wanted. Like my parents really, really, really wanted me to go to university. I mean, obviously, I was I was 18 or 17 or whatever, but they really wanted me to go to university. And since I was a kid, I knew that I would not, like, the moment I could leave school, I would take that opportunity immediately. I wouldn't say that my environment supported like alternative choices and not following the path. But yeah, I guess it's just like naturally I'm very against. I really, really dislike doing what I'm told or complying with things that don't make sense to me. Like I always need to understand why I need to do something before I do it. And if I don't understand it, or if the answer is just because you have to do it because of the rules, I will fight as much as I can to avoid doing it. But when for a while, my wife and Marina and I were living in a small town in Spain, and we had some really good friends there. In a very, very small town, like 50-person town.
Wow.
The closest quote unquote city, which was like 20,000 people, was 1 hour away. So once a week, we would have to go to this city to buy groceries. And it was in the middle, but it's rock climbing paradise. So yeah, we moved there for a couple of years, and these friends of ours, they had a kid, and he was 12, and he was going to public schooling, which in Spain, public schooling, I'm guessing, must be the worst of the worst. And he would get so much homework all the time, hours worth of homework every single day, and like really ridiculous I mean, all homework is kind of retarded, but really, really ridiculous homework. And one time we were at their place, and his mom was telling him, look, I know this is ridiculous, I know this is retarded, there is no point to this, but you have to do it anyway. If you want to have a good life, you have to do it.
Oh, gosh.
And I found that so crushing. Like, you are you are violently shaping your kid to conform to this shape that you recognize that is stupid. Like you see it, you can tell this is dumb. There is 0 point to this other than complying, which kind of reminds me to something that happened in the past couple of years. They comply to something ridiculous just because you need to comply to this something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a point of I will do my best to never be in a situation where I need to tell my kids just comply because it's stupid, but just comply. I don't know. It's such a powerful message that you don't have any agency. You have to do this stupid thing just to waste your time. I don't know. It's painful.
Yeah, it's sad. It's yeah, the whole system, it's kind of abusive. It's a bit
It
like
is completely
prison.
abusive. It is completely abusive. Yeah. It's exactly like a prison. It's a prison is 100% the right mindset.
Yeah, when I walk past schools here and there's all fences and gates and you need to have permission to go out and come in. And
yeah, I remember when I was a kid, maybe like 7, 8 years old, and I was in school, and I remember the humiliation of having to ask for permission to go to the bathroom, having to ask this teacher, please, may I go to the bathroom? It's so humiliating. It's such a that's the model of what you're teaching your kids, right?
yeah,
there is this authority and you need to ask for permission to go to the bathroom.
yeah,
It's so messed up.
yeah. And the teachers, I would say, I mean, some of them have good intentions and they would like to give the kids a bit more freedom of how to learn something, but I think it's very controlled as well. They need to reach certain standards with the kids. And
I'm sure most teachers are have good intentions. Yeah. I think they simply cannot see beyond the system. It's like, kind of like politicians that might have good intentions. They can't see that the whole game is unwinnable.
Yeah.
The whole game, like politics is a system that cannot be fixed through politics. And schooling is not a system that can be fixed within the schooling system. It's just the whole system is unfixable.
Yeah. So this leads me to talk about our project, A Place to Be, because that's kind of the solution to that problem. It's another system. It's where the kids can just be free and choose what to do. If they play all day, they do. And while they play, they learn. There's no way of keeping them from learning. And we're very happy that you're going to be part of A Place to Be.
I can't wait. I'm talking about A Place to Be to so many people. I keep shilling it to everybody. Yeah, I'm over the moon excited that for A Place to Be to begin.
Awesome. I can't wait either. And can you give me a little hint of how you imagine it, like your day? I know you won't be there for 8 hours, but if you you'll be there giving some time to the kids, and how do you imagine that?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think that's kind of the point that I can't imagine it because hopefully the lack of a structure will mean that it will be extremely dynamic. And the people that are there, it's like what Karl Popper said, that the observer changes the observed. I think it's going to A Place to Be. I imagine it as a dynamic place where the people that are there are going to be shaping the routine and what's done on a daily basis. So I don't know. Hopefully, I can from my side, I can bring some playfulness and curiosity and just just exploring beyond limits, imagining things that kids consider that they will not a chance be able to do, and just finding why they're not able to do, and maybe they are able to do them. But yeah, I don't know. Playfulness, I guess.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, what I had in mind, because when you no, that was on the alternative education meetup here that you joined to. You said when you were a kid, you just took apart the computer. I think we were born the same year, 84.
84, yeah.
Yeah, me too. So that's what my brother and my friends did. They took apart all the computers and they put them back together, and they're all like geniuses and mathematicians and engineers. And that's what they did. And then they connected, in the neighborhood, the cables, computers with the cables.
Oh, nice.
Stay together and all that stuff. That's what I imagine you doing as a kid. That's like learning by taking things apart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely how I learned. And I remember when I was 6, my parents bought a new computer, and I started unscrewing it, and I took a bunch of parts apart, and then I could not put it back together. And I think that happened twice, where I took things apart and I couldn't put it back together. But then the third time, I think the third time I did it probably when I was already like 7 or maybe even 8. But I was able to put it back, not like something major, just like the components that you can take out, like the RAM memory. It had like some pins, and you can just undo the pins and take it out and just look at the memory. It's not like I was soldering anything, but you start gaining confidence because you are learning, and you see that you have agency, right? That you can do things and you can decide, and then you can create something that wasn't there before. I also used to take apart my toys. I remember I would ask my parents for toys because I could imagine the type of parts that they would have inside. And then the moment they would buy it, I would undo the toy, and then try to combine different parts of different toys and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's like whatever the kids want to do, they'll if everything, the income will be put back into the business, especially if the kids are like wanting to learn about, I don't know, like computers or coding. Or I would buy an old computer and they could screw it apart, and if they have 100%. A question, they would walk up to you and say, Pablo, can you help me with this? And you would help them. And that's how 100%. I imagine it. Just completely in the beginning, we're going to get to know each other, and then we'll see what the kids are going to get into. I'm not going to prepare much. I'm really just going to see, like, it's a free market. Whatever you're into, we're going to support you if you want support. And I'm really happy that you're part of this.
Man, I can't wait. I really can't wait.
And do you have any plans? Like, do you know when you're coming over to Madeira next?
I think we're going to be there probably around mid-November. Okay. So I'm going to go to Tokyo at the beginning of November, and then probably I'll go to Greece because Marina is going to be there. So we'll go to Greece and get our things together, and then from Greece we'll go to Madeira.
Great. And by then you're going to be 4 people in your family.
We're going to be 4.
Pregnant, expecting.
We're going to be 4, yeah. In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks we should have baby Atlas. 2 to 3 weeks we should have baby Atlas. So.
Great. Okay. I'm looking forward to see a little picture. And, thank you so much for your time, Pablo. I really enjoyed talking to you.
I always love talking to you, Sylvia. I'm very excited for what you're doing. Yeah, I can't wait. Very, very, very bullish on everything that you're doing.
Cool. Okay, we'll speak soon and see you soon. And say hi to Marina and Alana, please.
Will do, and say hi to your family as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Wow.